Say goodbye to your credit card rewards. Greedy corporate mega stores, led by Walmart and Target, are pushing for a law in Congress to take away your hard-earned cash back and travel points to line their pockets. The Durbin-Marshall credit card bill would enact harmful credit card routing mandates that would end credit card rewards as we know it. If you love your credit card rewards, tell your lawmakers, hands off my rewards. Tell them to oppose the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill.
Hello and welcome back to Chasing Excellence, a show about chasing what truly matters. My name is Patrick Cummings. Thank you so much for joining us this episode. I'm here all by my lonesome to just introduce this conversation. We've got one that Ben and I had about a year ago, maybe a little over a year ago. It was originally inside of another episode. We did it as our workout. Folks who have been listening for a while will know we've recently kind of reformatted here. Previously, the last couple of years, we've done longer episodes where we had a lot of different things inside of each episode. This was one of those things. It was a listener question that we spent about 20 minutes talking through. One of the things I'm excited about with this new format, with this twice a week, shorter, more focused episodes, is to be able to kind of bring some of those conversations that Ben and I had over the last couple of years that might have just kind of gotten lost in the mix of the kind of episodes we were doing previously. So I'm excited to pull some of them out and make them a little bit more accessible for folks. So this may be a first time for you, maybe a second time around, a nice reminder. It's a listener question about how to use our downtime better. We're going to get to it just a minute, but first I wanted to do a quick recommendation roundup. Usually Ben and I do this together, but I thought with the conversation we're about to listen to, I had something that I wanted to add on, to tack on, because I think it's relevant and it might be really helpful after you listen to this episode. If it inspires you to take some action, I've got some action for you to take. And I recently sent this exact thing out in our weekly newsletter. It was probably a couple weeks ago now. We also have a weekly newsletter, www.chasingexcellence.email. Get on that. We send it out every Saturday where it's got what we put out that week, as well as something worth your time. And this was my recommendation for something worth your time. It's two apps. The first one is called Blank Space. The second one is called 1 Sec, S-E-C, short for 1 second. The website's real quick, blankspaces.app and 1-sec, S-E-C.app. Check them both out. Here's what they are. Here's what they do. First, here's why. I have been able to, in the last month or so dramatically reduce the amount of mindless scrolling I used to do on my phone with help from these two apps. It is something that I've wanted to do, that I try to do, that I've struggled with over the years, as we all likely do. And the combination of these two apps, plus, again, a desire to dramatically reduce the amount of mindless scrolling I do on my phone, these two apps have really, really helped me. The Blank Space app is for iPhone only. If you've got an Android, you don't need it, because effectively what this does, it allows you to control your home screen in such a way that you are not looking at every single app that you've ever downloaded on your phone. It gives you a nice, clean interface to look at every time you open up your phone. If you've ever looked at or considered, as I have, something called the Light phone, which is sort of a dumb smartphone. I don't know how else to put it, but it just gives you the 2 or 3, or in my case, 5 apps or options that you want to be able to see, that you want to be able to access quickly, and it hides everything else. It's really clean. It's really minimal. I really like it. That's for iPhone users only, because iPhones don't let you do that easily. Android phones, I think you have quite a bit more control over that, so you do not need this. The second app is really the key though, 1 Sec. What it allows you to do is say, okay, this app, and this app. Every time I open up the app, in my case, Instagram is the key culprit. Every time I open up Instagram, the 1 Sec app effectively makes you wait 3 seconds. I don't know why they call it 1 sec. It's more, I think, more like 3 seconds. It comes up, it says, hey, let's take a breath before I let you open this app. And in that breath, in that 1 or 2 or 3 seconds that I can't actually see anything on Instagram, 99% of time, and the 1% of time is when I have to do something for work, 99% of time that it comes up when I try to open Instagram, I shut it down before I ever get in. Because what it does is says, hey, do you really need to look at Instagram right now? And mostly no. Mostly the answer to that is no. And in those 1 or 2 or 3 seconds, you can step back. You can say, what am I doing here? Is there something else I could be doing? Is there something else I want to be doing? And to hint at some of the conversation we're about to listen to, is there something that will move me towards my goals? Is there something that will move me towards the meaningful life that I'm trying to lead? More so than what I'm about to do in Instagram or TikTok or YouTube or your web browser or whatever it is for you that sucks away your attention. So that's the Blank Space app for iPhone users, and then the 1sec app, blankspaces.app, 1-sec.app. If you want to check those things out, I highly recommend them. All right, we're going to get into our episode all about how to use our downtime better in just 2 minutes. But first, a quick word of thanks from a few sponsors. We're brought to you this week by Element. Have you tried Element Sparkling yet? It's the same zero sugar electrolyte formulation you already know and trust, now in a bold 16-ounce can of sparkling water. Each can is a step towards better health and away from sugar and stimulant-loaded drinks. Head to drinkelement.com/excellence to learn more and to sign up to become an Element Insider so you can get your hands on Element Sparkling. It comes in amazing flavors like citrus salt, watermelon salt, grapefruit salt, and the debut of black cherry lime. It's just 5 calories, 0 grams of sugar, packed with essential electrolytes, 1,000 milligrams sodium, 200 milligrams potassium, 60 milligrams magnesium. To become an Element Insider, you'll just need to have purchased the Element Insider bundle within the last couple months. Afterwards, as long as you're logged into the website, you'll see and be able to purchase Element Sparkling. They're not sure when Element Sparkling will launch to a broader public, so if you want to be the coolest kid in gym class, becoming an insider is the only way to do it. Just head to drinkelement.com/excellence to learn more. Even if you don't grab yourself an insider bundle, you'll still get a free sample pack with any drink mix purchase. From our fridge to yours, welcome to the next chapter of the Salty Rebellion. We're also brought to you this week by our friends at Momentous. Let's take a minute to talk about something that's become a crucial part of my daily wellness routine, and that is Momentous. I've been using their creatine, omega-3s, and protein supplements almost every day, and let me tell you, it's quite a game changer. These supplements can help support everything from cognitive function to reducing inflammation in muscles and joints. And I know supplements can sometimes get a bad rap, but Momentous is different. They collaborate with experts and only use the highest quality ingredients. They also invest in third-party testing, adhering to the standards set by demanding organizations like the NFL and the NBA. What's on the label is what's in the product and nothing else. They call it the Momentous Standard, and it's really the industry's leading standard in quality. So if you, like me, want to take supplements made by and used by the best in the world, head to livemomentous.com. You can get up to 36% off your first subscription order with the code EXCELLENCE. And if you don't feel like subscribing just yet, all good. You can still get 15% off all your favorite products. That's livemomentous.com with the code EXCELLENCE. Give it a try. Your body will thank you. Okay, my friends, let's get into this conversation. We're going to kick it off. The first thing you're going to hear is me reading the listener question, and then we get into it. Enjoy. If chasing excellence means not wasting time doing things that don't move you closer to your goals, what can I do with that period in the evening that I've always spent watching TV, especially when I have very little energy or focus by that time? I agree with the principle, but struggle in practice.
Breaking it down just a bit. They want to improve their habits, ensuring that what they do moves them towards their goals.
Yep.
Love that. They get to the end of the night and they don't have a lot of energy to do that. So they default to the easy, low brainwave thing of just let's zone out and watch some TV.
Yep.
The first place I would start is, and this would be, I'll give a bigger answer, and then I'll give a more easier mechanistic answer after that. The higher level question is, chasing excellence is yes, it's about doing things that which moves you towards your goals. There is no standing still. You're either moving forward or backwards. But the goal has to be understood, and that is vitality, energy, excitement, enthusiasm for life, balance across passions, pursuits, career, relationships, health, family, faith, spirituality, hobbies, whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
My question would be, why are we exhausted at the end of the day?
Mm-hmm.
If we are exhausted at the end of the day, here's the easy fix. Don't watch TV, go to bed.
Yeah.
Like that's you're too tired to do anything else.
Yep.
That's the easy one. Okay. The next one, easiest, moving from easiest to more challenging, is in terms of habit change and formation, is there is a cue, there is a habit or the action, and there is the reward. So the cue in this sense is after dinner or late.
Kids finally asleep, whatever.
Exactly.
That is,
whatever that time is. That's the cue. The action is time for me to check out, zone out, turn on the TV. The reward is, this is...
Yep. Shut down.
I usually get that. Yeah, that.
Yep.
So how do we do that in line with our actions? Well, the cue is always going to be there, and you need the reward. Otherwise, so I would change the action. I'm not saying go do push-ups. I'm not saying go for a walk. I'm not saying meditate. I'm not saying journal. That you don't have the energy for that. Instead, watch a documentary.
Yep.
So watch things that are going to move you towards your goals. Watch things that are in line with your pursuits. Watch things that talk about what we talk about on this podcast. There's a great I was talking about this earlier. Everyone that listens to this podcast should watch Chris Hemsworth's Limitless on Disney Plus.
Okay.
It's literally kicking ass in your 90s. It's the 5 factors. It's literally that in a really high produced Hollywood, really handsome, damn handsome guy as the star. Yep. Way better than myself.
Is this a documentary or like a series?
It's a series.
Okay.
So every episode, I've watched the first. I've only binged, I think, 2 series ever since this whole thing came about, since Netflix started and all these, whatever they are, HBO, Disney Plus. And that is this, which I've watched, I think 8 episodes so far. I watched them over a weekend.
Is it partially because you were sick?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. I was going to say, bonus. Okay.
Yeah, this is what I did. And the other one was Ted Lasso.
Yep.
So it was the only 2 I've ever done. Yep. So this is, to me, it's, and both of those are in line. It's like, I'm a coach. I'm very much that transformative coach. That's people first, which is Ted Lasso. I learned a lot, but still entertained and still can zone out a little bit. And the same thing here. This is teaching about managing stress, anxiety, relationships, acceptance, overcoming fears, what cold exposure does to you, what eating healthy does to you, what fasting does to you. So those are the types of things that we could sit down, relax, and watch instead of watching Game of Thrones or sitting down and watching Yellowstone or watching Gossip Girl or whatever it might be.
I was just so impressed that you named 2 relevant shows and then you went Gossip
Girl. The only reason I know Gossip Girl is because my wife binged that 5 years ago. And I was
like, Yellowstone, who knows Yellowstone? Okay,
yeah.
Back to Gossip Girl. Got it.
So that would be, the first one is go to bed.
Yep.
The next one is, okay, if we're going to keep the habit, keep the reward, and we're not ready for that. We're not ready to cue and change literally. So this is where like people that quit smoking, this is where it goes instead, you have that urge, it's chew gum. Like put that oral fixation, put something in your mouth, hand to mouth. This is why that works a little bit. It's also the reason that a lot of people, when they quit smoking, gain weight because they don't do gum, they do food. So that in terms of habit change works really well. But instead of sleep, instead of changing to something, watching something educational, and the easiest places just go to documentaries. Documentaries are the easiest place for sure. The next place I would go to is that bigger question of how can we get to the end of the day with more energy and vitality? And that would be what we talk about all the time, is this balance of pursuits and habits and routines. And are we burning the candle too brightly in certain areas to the point where we get to, we need to know what time, if the person's talking about this and if they're talking about, but at midnight, I just want to turn something on. Well, at that point, go to sleep. But if they're talking about at 5:30 p.m., we need a little bit more vitality. So we figure out what is our first place I would go is, what is your sleep schedule? That's where I would go first. The next I would go is, what's your nutrition? And the next I would go to is, what is your anxiety and stress? Usually that leads to work and relationships. And then I would go to exercise. And
can you make slight improvements to each one of those?
Yeah, and we just turn the dial on certain ones of those to see if we can get to whatever time it is at night that we have a little more energy that we can put into things like, instead of going to bed or watching TV, we could do things like, I'm going to spend that time teaching my son how to play checkers. I'm going to go in the backyard and play soccer with my kids. I'm going to cook a meal with my wife. I'm going to use this time to connect with friends that I've lost touch with over the last 2 months. I'm going to use this time to send out whatever is, right? So again, we're getting towards those things that move us towards our goals.
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever made this connection before, but as you were talking, one of the things that struck me is in the same way that when we want to improve our diets, when we're at the position where we have the choice, we can say, I'm going to grab the loaf of bread or the banana. When we're just starting, just make that one choice a little bit better, right? And so what you're saying is, okay, you're going to sit down on the couch, you're going to flip Netflix on. Let's just try to make a slightly better choice. And then down the road, you can make a much better choice, because then the much better choice doesn't feel like that big of a choice, right? In the case of this, instead of watching TV, I'm going to go learn the guitar, which is a massive leap when you've spent the last 2 years. At 8 o'clock, I just sit on the couch for 2 hours and then I go to bed, right? Like that's huge. That's monumental. But if you slowly started to chip away at, I'm going to make a slightly better decision now, when at the same time started the things you're talking about in terms of what's happening in the day. I think that's when we can get to a place where you can use those hours. And we've talked about this before, but I've got this idea of first hour and the last hour, right? They have the most potential because we have the least amount of things demanding of us at those times. And we tend to waste those times for whatever reason, right? And so there's tons of potential in there. But until you're at a place where you can actually use that or take advantage of that potential, then the baby steps are, I think, the smartest way to do it.
Yeah. I really like that in terms of, we've talked about before, but the aggregation of marginal gains. And the challenging aspect is when you're caught in the moments of, well, I just really want to turn on Netflix versus I want to learn a foreign language. If you did those two things every single night over the course of a decade, everyone knows what the differences would be. One, you're going to be really good at pop culture and know what the current things are. The other is you're going to have a completely different understanding, potentially of an entire different culture, right? And a whole new skill set, and maybe transform who you are as a person and give you more freedom in other things. And that's whether you're learning a musical instrument, learning a foreign language, working on your side hustle as a business, you're going to go and do a workout at that time. There's so many things but in the moments, that day, neither makes a difference. That's the hard part.
You still go to bed that night and
nothing has changed. You are no better at foreign language. You're no better at playing a guitar. You're no farther along in writing your book or building your side hustle or whatever it is than if you watch that. And that's what our challenge is to have that understanding, that perspective now, the perspective of where we can be in 10 years. And this goes into not having the dessert and choosing the salad and going to the gym and not snoozing and having the hard conversations and not overreacting. And it's all the things that we talk about here on this show that we feel like makes a fulfilled life. And the challenge for us always is to bring those into the present moment right now. And that's not easy. We are constantly, this is what human beings at 101 is, we seek pleasure, we avoid pain. That's it. So what's the pleasure? Is it more pleasurable to sit down and watch Netflix or struggle to try to learn to play guitar? It's obvious, right? Especially in the beginning stage of guitar where there's no rewards for it. Your fingers hurt. You can't make any noises. It's the same thing when, am I going to go and watch Netflix or work out? Am I going to have the salad or the pizza? Am I going to work on my business or scroll social media? It's always those choices. And it's only when you add up all those little moments together, it's like, well, if I'm doing macros and I put one M&M on a scale, it doesn't weigh anything. So it doesn't count, right? So I'm going to eat that M&M. And then 9 seconds later, I put another M&M there. Oh, look, it doesn't register on the scale, so it doesn't count. It's nothing. So because it doesn't seem like it affects anything in the moment, we go, no big deal. Let's just have the other M&M. Let's just scroll social media. Let's just zone out. Let's just do the mindless things. And that's what our biggest struggle is. That's our biggest fight. That's our biggest pursuit is, can we override that mechanism? Can we override this thing that says, seek out the pleasure. Instead, lean into the discomfort a little bit, because that discomfort, and I'm using those words in an exaggerated fashion, like salad is not uncomfortable, right? Working on your side hustle may or may not be, but the idea is that it's so much more pleasurable in the moment to seek out those immediately gratifying things. I'm going to have the alcohol. I'm not going to go to bed. I'm going to stay up and have that third, fourth, fifth, and sixth drink. I'm going to just scroll social media instead of reaching out and connecting with people, and actually connecting with people. And that's our challenge. That's what the people that are listening to our show are constantly trying to be aware of and live their life with purpose and passion.
I looked up something before this because I was reading this question and thinking about it, and something I've thought about before looking up. So this was a good excuse. But I looked up how much money is spent every year on creating content, and Netflix, Disney, etc. And in 2020, so whether this is exactly accurate doesn't really matter. It's close enough. In 2020, about $220 billion was spent on creating or licensing new content. And that doesn't include sports, which is huge. And I'm quite sure it doesn't include things that are on Facebook and on Instagram.
This is like
and
it's
TV. Like Disney and Netflix and Amazon.
People watch on TV.
Exactly. So let's just call it $300 billion being spent on one purpose, which is to get us to sit on the couch. And so I bring that up to just say it is hard in the same way that it is hard to eat well when you go to get gas or go to Home Depot. There are Snickers bars in your face. Why are there Snickers bars? We don't know, because people will buy them. So we are living in an environment, in a context that is not set up for the things that we were just talking about. There are so many barriers in the way of the meaningful. In the way of, the slightly uncomfortable, but the meaningful, right? And so I just bring that up just because I think it's worth recognizing that it is hard, that we are, and in some ways we invite it in, but that we have invited in all of the things that are standing in the way of our getting the things we want to get to, or becoming the person that we want to get to. And so really just acknowledging that there are billions and billions of dollars being spent so that this individual doesn't feel like they have the energy to do anything except watch a little bit more TV, and recognizing that's actually what I'm up against. Not in a conspiratorial kind of way, but just, okay, that's what I'm up against. I have to exert effort. I have to be proactive, because if I am not, I will get sucked up into what they have built for me, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Netflix. There are some very smart people figuring out, how can I just get them to sit here longer? And so we have to be incredibly aware and intentional.
Oh, I was hoping you were going to get there. That's it. Awareness, intention, and action.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
That's what we're up against, and that's what we're trying to get past.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
That's the struggle, right? Because just like eating well, which you alluded to, it's so easy to have great tasting food around you all the time.
Yep.
That's going to erode your health. Well, it's the same thing with where our attention goes. It's so easy now to let our attention go towards very pleasurable things that are going to erode our focus and our time and our attention. And if we bring that level of awareness, just what you're saying, we are up against it. And if you are not intentional with it, you're going to lose the battle. That's the way it is now. It's back in the day, meaning 200, 300, 400 years ago, you didn't have to be aware of what to eat to be healthy, because there wasn't much alternatives. Now you have to be incredibly aware of it. Very similar, you didn't have to be aware of where your time is being spent, because no one was vying for it the way they are now. Now you have to be intentional with it. It's the struggle of the modern person, right? I don't want to understate it, because it is a matter of life, and I don't want to say life and death, but sort of is in a way. Yeah. But it really is a matter of a meaningful life. Because imagine the extremes where you are just completely unaware and you just give in to the immediate pleasures of food and your attention. So what's that life look like? Well, you're eating crap on your couch watching Netflix. That's you're feeding
That's a
into
kind of death.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And if you are aware of that battle, which most people that listen to us are, then you can be intentional in your fight against it, which you need to, otherwise you'll most likely succumb. I'm really lucky in my household that Heather, my wife, is so aware of what screen time does, because I'm even like, I got home from work and my 10-year-old son is getting really into watching the Celtics. And he'd be like, Dad, the Celtics game on tonight? I'm like, they are playing tonight. So let's put it on. I'm like, yeah, let's do it.
Yep.
It's what, like, it just so easily pulls you into that. And now I'm not going to say it's a zero sum, because I do get to connect with him on certain levels.
Yep.
But think, again, if you were to go towards the extremes of it, if every single available moment was given towards staring at a screen in that way, it would be a lot less meaningful than us pulling away and having a sit-down dinner where we're connecting and talking about things beyond Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and how the Celtics are first place in the league, that type of stuff.
Yep.
So yeah, awareness, that intentionality, and where we're giving our focused attention, action. And you actually do it. And that's the biggest thing. But I don't want to also overshadow, because we could, yes, first number one for this person is go to sleep.
Yep.
Next is change the habits to educational in the same format. Go ahead and watch your TV. But then the other one is, let's look at the other aspects of your life that you feel like are draining and pulling away from those later hours of the day.
Patrick from present day, again, here, now me again. Just a quick thank you for listening to the show. Thank you for your ratings. Thank you for your reviews. Thank you for the notes that you send to Ben and I. I would love to invite you. I will invite you. In fact, I love it so much, I will do it. I invite you to join us over at www.chasingexcellence.email. We send out some content in the beginning of the week. We send out a weekly newsletter, kind of a recap newsletter on the weekends. And you'll also have a chance to dive into the premium membership, where you will get ad-free episodes as well as bonus content and more conversation. And it is really a cool spot where you can dive even deeper into this pursuit of chasing excellence. And we invite you. We welcome you. We thank you, of course, for your time and your attention. It means the world to us. Ben and I will be back soon for a new episode of Chasing Excellence.
Say goodbye to your credit card rewards. Greedy corporate mega stores, led by Walmart and Target, are pushing for a law in Congress to take away your hard-earned cash back and travel points to line their pockets. The Durbin-Marshall credit card bill would enact harmful credit card routing mandates that would end credit card rewards as we know it. If you love your credit card rewards, tell your lawmakers, hands off my rewards. Tell them to oppose the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill.